They're
on.
just, they maximize space so well.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So we've had 2 Odysseys and now a Sienna.
This has been a Motor Trend moment with Mitch, Vicky, and Doug. Thank you for tuning in. Join us next week and we will talk to you about millennials and the iPhone.
This is a real podcast. What this is.
Yeah, baby.
Oh my goodness.
I'm in.
All right. If Doug and Mitch are as alike as I think they are, I'm going to feel really outnumbered.
That's okay.
Like I'm talking to 2 of them.
Vicky, you don't actually even have to be here. So if you just go away, we'll
Hang on. I'm scared of Vicky.
wait. Hold on. Just hold still, Vicky. I'm actually drawing a mustache and on the screen.
Stay right there.
Yeah, you're good. Don't move. Oh no, it's on Mitch now.
That was nice and easy.
What are you talking about? This also speaks to a much bigger issue.
Providing personal solutions through understanding people. This is the Creating Connections podcast with Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vicky Musni.
I love the parallels. And it was so funny. When I first discovered you, Doug, I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy is living where I want to go in the business and has an extremely similar background. All right, so Doug, share with us your story and how it relates to the event world.
Wow. Okay. So where I come in is probably about almost 30 years or just shy of 30 years of being in the DJ business. In 2013, I met with my financial planner after spending almost 30 years in the DJ business as an MC. I don't know why anybody would want to have this as a classification to their career, but I spent 30 years as a bar mitzvah MC. I've done I think close to 2,000 bar and bat mitzvahs in my career.
Wow.
So huge amount of bar and bat mitzvahs. And it's a field that's dominated by guys that are in their mid-20s and that have names like Spots and Ish and Tigger and Fresh and Glide. And here I am, DJ Doug. Okay, so I spent 30 years, 29 years as of 2013, building that business. And my financial planner said to me, he said, hey, just look at the potential for what opportunity there is for you moving forward. He said, because do you want to do this for the rest of your life? I was 47 at the time. And I thought, I probably don't. I love doing it and it's been a great career, but I don't think I want to do this forever. There's got to be the next thing for me. He said, I don't know what that opportunity is going to be. Just look out for whatever it may be. In August of that same year, in 2013, I saw this guy, his name is Ryan Estes, speaking on stage at a NACE conference, the National Association for Catering and Events. And it's not what he said, but how he said it. So I think like a giddy schoolgirl, probably at the far back of the room, I ran up to him after he gave his speech and he goes, nobody's as excited about my message as you are. You're not coming to ask me to talk about my message. You probably want to know how to become a professional speaker. I mean, this guy was reading my freaking brain. And that was exactly it. So he gave me his speaking coach's name, and that really started this whole series of actions from about August of 2013 to today in building a speaking business as a result of all the experience that I had in building my DJ business over the last 30 years before then. So that's in a nutshell my story.
So can you kind of pinpoint what some of those lessons and those things that you learned in the 30 years in the events industry, what have you carried on into the next stage? Those
Absolutely.
things you were learning that were setting you up for that second career that you didn't even know you were training for?
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I have about a dozen guys that all work for me in the MC world, and they still are on my team, and we are still continuing to build that business. But for me personally, it's okay. What is the transition beyond that? So just to give you the idea of what I've learned over the last 30 years, it has nothing to do with the 4-hour gig. It's all about the relationship that you build for the year and a half that you're planning this event with your client. And I emphasize with my guys, it's not about the 4 hours. Certainly do a great job. That's what we're being paid to do. But that's not at all. That's probably 10% of it. The rest is, how about getting referrals before you even show up on event day? How about understanding exactly what the plans are of this client before you show up on event day? How about understanding plans A, B, and C, and D before you even show up? How about all of those things? Building better relationships, returning calls, returning emails, reaching out, building relationships, getting referrals, talking to other people that are in the industry about what you do, not as an MC, but as a guy that's building relationships, because that's all we do. And we're doing milestone events, building relationships for these people, and we've got to do it exceptionally well. And that's where our team excels over many, because they focus on the 4 hours and we focus on the year and a half.
Yeah.
It is like talking to Mitch. I'm sorry. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, it's from a standpoint of, ours is pretty much a 6-hour performance. Yours is 4.5 in your market. I always include in our contracts, even, it's over 40 hours or up to 40 hours of planning and production. It's like, to me, that's what the client is paying for. That's the work that's put in ahead of time.
Yeah, I do always say that to my client. You're not paying me for gig day. You're paying me for all of the travel to back and forth to the venue ahead of time to do the site visit. You're paying for the 17 phone calls that you're going to potentially make to me. You're paying for my advice, my 3,000 events worth of experience, 2,000 in the bar and bat mitzvah world. That's what you're paying for. Because people always say to me, "Why would I spend my fee? I'm at $4,000 just to show up." So for me, it's like, why am I going to pay $4,000 for you and not $400 for your competition? I'm like, you can pay $400 if you just want somebody to show up and play and push buttons, and that's not what we do.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a huge difference. And oftentimes we talk about it from a sales standpoint of, how do you showcase that difference over the phone or in an email? Not that I want to get into that here per se. I mean, I suppose we could,
right.
But I mean that's always a huge challenge. What else is transferred over for you in your new career, Doug? What else prepped you for making that leap and changing midstream?
Hey, first of all, I don't have the dog, so just so you know, it's not my dog. It's on my side. Whose dog is that we're dealing with? Is that Vicky? Is that your dog?
That would be my dog.
Yeah, it's her dog.
Gosh, I was hoping you were going to just let everybody think it was yours, but
no.
Anybody that's watched has known it's mine.
No,
Excuse me.
I'm at my
Mitch,
office, so there's no dog here. We're in the office. Yeah.
Right.
Mitch, you're going to have to beep this out because my landlord won't let me have a dog, all right? yeah, fist bump to you, Mitch. There you go. Finally, we got rid of her.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we can continue this podcast now that Vicky's not here.
Did you put the dog to sleep?
I gave her some breakfast. I was actually really excited. I thought that maybe when I came back from dropping my kids off at school and she didn't come back downstairs, I thought, sweet, she's sleeping in my daughter's bed. She'll just hang out there. We'll be able to get the whole episode in without her bothering us.
I'm glad you said drop the kids off at school. That's it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's totally a guy thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, got it. I forget the question. What were the other life skills that I've learned, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, pretty much. What other life skills have you found that have transferred over from the event space into your new career?
Yeah, it's all relatability, and it's all a transition from one position in the DJ business, in the entertainment business, to my speaking business. It's all about building relationships, returning phone calls, returning emails, understanding empathetically what it is, what's going on in your customer and your client's mind. It's all of the things, no matter where you are, be DJ business or in speaking business, they all transfer quite easily. If you can relate to somebody that is building a milestone event, you can relate to somebody that's planning a conference. You just have to speak the language that they are speaking. So it really is all about the relationship that you build, which is why I always emphasize with my new guys, forget being a good DJ. I can train that. I can train you how to be a good DJ, but it's really challenging if you don't understand the importance of having a good attitude prior to event day.
Hire good people and then train them on skills. Hire for character.
Yeah. I'd much rather hire somebody that is that is perpetually on time than somebody that is a great DJ. It's very hard to train somebody the importance of why you have to be on time and why you should be on time. There are many people that I have fired because they were late, and they come back to me and saying, "I understand the error of my ways. Can I please come back?"
Yeah.
And what do you say? Have you taken anybody back after that?
Yeah, I take people back. I'm not an ass about it. I mean, I did write the book Nice Guys Finish First. I mean, I do give people a second chance. Sometimes people don't understand the value of they don't get it, why if they're 15 minutes late or 30 minutes late, how that affects everybody that's on the job, because we're opening up the giveaways, we're setting up the equipment, we're unloading the equipment, we're schmoozing the guy in the loading dock. I mean, all the things that we need to do as a part of our job as event profs. People don't understand that when you're late, it's not just about you being late, it's about all of the dominoes that have fallen as a result of you not being on time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you were saying that, Doug, about how sometimes the new guys, they just don't get it, it made me want to ask, when you look back in your business over the 30 years of working as an MC, when did you get it? Like, when did you know, when did you recognize this is important? This is how I want to build my business. This is the relationship needs to be the focus. Did you just intuitively know that? Was there a moment? Did you learn the hard way from somebody else?
Oh yeah, there was an exact moment, and I could probably pinpoint the date if I had my calendar in front of me, but I know the year was 1992, and the reason I know that is because this is how I start every speech that I go through. And this client flew me, all expenses paid, from Washington D.C. area down to New Orleans to do their event. They were saying, "Hey, there's your dog." got into the room. So this client paid me a huge amount of money to fly down to New Orleans, probably 7 or 8 times what I would normally make at an event. And the event was a disaster. The kids threw pea soup on the walls. They lit toilet paper on fire in the bathrooms. They were at the bar drinking at 13. They were sucking the helium out of every balloon. And this was just in the first 15 minutes of this event. So I set this entire event up in my audience's eyes so that they can go live through it with me. The things that I didn't realize, had I actually invested a little bit of time, effort, and energy in this client a year and a half ahead of time when they hired me, I would have discovered that this was the 49th of 50 events that these kids have been to. Mm-hmm. And that they didn't hire me because I was a rock star like I thought. They hired me because geographically I was far enough out of their zone where they knew that I would no way have heard of this family ahead of time. So they hired me, they flew me, they did all this stuff because I thought it was me. They did all of this because it was them. So had I actually invested time, energy, and effort in this client, had I come up with it, I executed a plan excellently. I wanted to execute some of those kids, but I had actually executed a plan. And had I inspired them to take action and come up with plan A, B, and C, I would have done the right thing. So on that date was the date that I said, I will never let New Orleans happen to me again. And as a result of that, everything else was then client focused. How do I improve? What value am I offering to this client? Not this is because they're hiring me because I'm a good guy. That's
sort of a painful way to learn that lesson, but wow.
But early enough in your career, though. Early enough.
You were 9 years in roughly at that point, so.
And a part-timer. Wow. So I was 9 years in as a part-timer, probably have done 30 events a year for 8 or 9 years before then. And at that point, I made a decision that at some point I want to go full-time in this business. And it took me from that day, probably about 5 years to turn it into a full-time adventure. And from 97 or 98, which is about when I went full-time, to today, that is when my fees started to double, triple, quadruple, 5, 6, 10-fold where I was initially, and go beyond that. And then people started flocking to me as an entertainer in this market because they said, it's not just he's a good entertainer. This guy gets it. He's not a sales guy. He's educating me about the process. And that's really when I said that this is the business. This is the business for me. Since then, all of those skills and that all of those things that I've learned about the DJ business can easily transfer into any business because all we're doing is we're building relationships and communicating with people.
Yeah, and even though Mitch and I met in the DJ world, we do have listeners that are in other aspects of the event world. Photographers, videographers. We just spoke at the Photo Booth Expo.
Yeah,
and so, but that's kind of the common ground, is that all of us are booking clients well in advance of when the event is going to take place normally. And yeah, that's a little bit different for some people and some types of, types of events. There's, 6 months to 2 years typically, but it's what do you do in between?
It's totally what you do in between. And the other thing, what's interesting about it is, and I always emphasize with my guys as we show up on event day, you see the banquet manager, that's somebody you need to know. You see that photographer, that's somebody you need to know. You see that loading dock person, that front desk person. Do you see the person that's cleaning the tables? Those are all people you need to be friends with, because you have no idea who is going to be ultimately the one that gets you this gig. It could be any of those people in the room.
Yeah, establishing the relationships is crucial. And knowing who is going to refer you business, and you don't really know who that is down the line, but for 1 week it could be this person, another week could be that person, completely different.
Yeah, agreed.
You never know who you're going to impact, and I think that's important.
No, or you don't know who is going to help you professionally or personally, because you don't know the domino effect of what your actions are going to have in a good or a bad way, because they're going to have people they want to talk to about their experiences, outside their professional circle. You don't know what their family is, of how many sisters they have, or how many kids in their family are about to have, turn 13 or whatever. You just don't know.
Well, I emphasize with my guys, it's so much easier to do more business with the people that you have than go get a new client. The other side of it too, and I know that you have your audience is mainly event props that are listening and beyond, but for the event props that are listening to this, understand that if you have a $2,000 package, but ultimately you have an $8,000 top end of what you provide, and you can upsell these clients, building the relationship and educating your clients is all about that will come back to help you. One of the things that my office, I have an agency that represents me, and one of the things that they are challenged by is they try to sell everything up front to the client, because they feel like if they lose the momentum from that initial sale, they'll never get it. And I said, don't do that.
No, don't.
Sell me into the package as cheap as you can possibly get it. Let me build the relationship for a year and a half with these clients. I promise you, by the time that we get to event day, that $4,000 base price is going to end up being a $6,000 or $7,000 sale. Yeah. And 98% of the time, that's the reality. So now they don't even try to sell my clients anything up front. They just say, let Doug take it. He'll take it from there. And that's kind of what's been, again, part of who are my clients. The guy that's booking me is my client too. The agency that's booking me is my client in this particular case as well.
So Doug, I heard a podcast that you did, and her name escapes you right now. I want to say Alice or Linda.
Okay.
You did a podcast,
so much alike.
And the podcast you did with her was talking about how you transferred from a space that everybody knew you, right?
Oh yeah.
To now you're in the speaking world, and no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
You go from a NACE event, everyone knows you. You walk into the
Oh yeah. I went from a NACE event where I was on on a committee or two, and everybody knew me because I've been in NACE for 20 years. Again, National Association for Catering and Events, and then I go to an MPI event, a meeting professional international event, where nobody knows me, and I go from being this $4,000 to $6,000 guy to this speaker that's like, hey, anybody want to hire me? I'll come out and free, free for you. And so it's very humbling to go into that. But if you know that this is where you're meant to be and this is the next step, money will come. The money is my wife and I have this conversation all the time. If you use money as the only barometer for success in your business, then you're not in a good spot. You need to look at the other things. I've done all of these things over 30 years successfully. The money will come in the speaking business, and it has started to come. But even 5 years into it, it's still nowhere near where my DJ business. But that's 30 years in the making. It'll all get there. It just takes a little while, and that's okay. I'm a patient guy.
Yeah. And so the creating connections aspect, I think, for us, the podcast, is how you're taking that information you gleaned and realize that you were very much a big fish in a big market with what you charge in your market and everything else. But now you're diving into a completely different career category. And that's a now you're starting over again, essentially, you know?
Yeah. No, and nobody wants to talk to me. Like if I try to go to any of the speaking bureaus that are by me, they don't want to chat with me. You know, they only want a guy that's consistently charging $10,000 to $15,000 to rep me. And while that is not anywhere near where I am consistently, I've been at that price tag in the speaking world, but not consistently enough for them to say, hey, we want this guy. It's not like I can walk into a speaker's bureau and say, hey, but just check with Washington Talent. They know that I'll help you close the deals. They don't know that. They just see me as a guy that's trying to pitch my wares. I'm a sales guy to them, and that's okay. You know, that I'm humble enough to understand that I have to start over, and it's probably a better thing that it's not as easy for me as the DJ business is now. I haven't marketed. I'm not even on social media as in my entertainment business. I have a website. I don't even know the analytics or anything for the website. My speaking business, I'm all over, you know, social media. I have a great Twitter following, great Facebook community group, because my phone rings in my DJ business. It rings 2,000 times a year. So I don't need to do anything there.
But you started somewhere else early on, small potatoes, and had to grow steady, you know, and now here you are doing it all over again.
Yeah. The speaking business definitely is a humbling, it's a humbling world for me. But again, I'm learning it one bit at a time. I'm taking all the information, knowledge, and hopefully the wisdom that I have acquired in the DJ business and applying it to the speaking world. And I already see that I understand the process a lot better now than have I just started my DJ business. So do
we have time for one more question, Mitch?
Yeah, I want to hit one more question, and we'd love to hear about the book too, if you could.
I just want to hear, do you have a favorite thing that you speak about as you transition to the speaking world? What's your favorite?
Well, right now the topic of choice is building rockstar brands, and I think that branding is a very, very critical word. You know, everybody wants to understand and build their brand to bigger. I think that if you were to ask me what my powered zone is, I would probably tell you in better relationships equal better business, and that's what I wrote my book on. Nice Guys Finish First, and what's the guy's what is his name? I quote him on chapter 1. He says, if you don't think nice guys finish first, then you don't know where the finish line is. And it's and again, his name is escaping me. He was a comedian, and I just cannot remember it offhand. But anyway,
you can email it to us, and we'll pop it in the show notes later.
Yeah, that's terrific. But yeah, I really truly believe that nice guys do finish first. You just have to understand what nice is and how to equate that into what you're doing in your business.
Okay.
Awesome. And where can they go to get more information about you, Doug?
I'd love them to, and if anybody's listening and wants to come over to my website, it's DougSandler.com. So that's probably the easiest spot. DougSandler.com has access to my book and my email and my contact me.
You actually think we have listeners?
Oh, no. If you don't have any listeners, then just the three of us. Vicky, just go to my website.
Okay, I will do it. I will go check it out.
Does your dog have opposable thumbs? If so, then
I'll let my children go and visit your website, and we'll make sure you get so you see some hits on your analytics. So that's the website you check.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Doug, for joining us today. I greatly appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Vicky.
Thank you. It was fun.
Wow. What a great interview.
That was really fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Doug Sandler has a great connection to my first industry, the DJ industry. Vicky's kind of second industry. From
our stories are a little backwards.
Yeah, but Doug, amazing talent, amazing guy, just a nice guy. Go out and pick up his book if you get a chance. And if you get a chance to hear him speak, definitely, go do that. But sincerely,
and you can listen to his podcast too. We don't, you can do that in addition to ours.
Yeah, Doug's and Strickland's podcast is a daily podcast, and it's explicit. It's not, clean.
It's not one I can listen to in the car with my children.
Yeah, not safe for kids. NSFC or NSFK. Yeah.
Children, kids, whatever. Yeah.
So that's it for us. Thank you for watching Creating Connections podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. If you have feedback, please post it in the comments below on this video or send us an email, Mitch@creatingconnections.biz. This is Creating Connections podcast, providing personal solutions through understanding people better.
Thanks so much. Have a great week.
See you next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Creating Connections podcast with Gittimer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vicky Musni. For more information on providing personal solutions through understanding people better, visit creatingconnections.biz.